And spawning in the top left-hand position of this map, we have got the blue Zerg player. He represents Team Acer. He's 1-0 up in this series. It's Nerchio. And down to the lower right, the red Zerg playing also for Team Acer. He needs to win this if he wants a chance at the top spot, or the joint top spot. It is Bly.
And you know what? Like, based on the results of that first game, just the way it went down, Bly comes across as the kind of player, like, we all know he's famous for being really unorthodox, especially in Wings of Liberty. He'll try all sorts of funky stuff. And when Bly gets round to playing just a macro game, he is actually just pretty good at his macro game as well. Like, we've seen it, he's a lot better now than he was, for example, a year ago. And he doesn't appear to be comfortable to that point playing against Nerchio, and in my opinion, that's a big tell. I think that's him saying, yes, I know you're the favorite here. I'm going to try something and try and out-micro you, and that didn't happen in Game 1. So I'm actually expecting something a little bit funky, or at the very least, quite aggressive, coming out of Bly again here in Game 2. I hope I'm proved wrong.
Well, if you take a look at what actually came from Bly yesterday when he went up against Bunny and was able to win, that was through doing funky things. And that's the cool thing about Bly, is he's not the super standard player who's going to play the same strategies every game. He doesn't stick with the meta necessarily. He's happy to go a bit unorthodox. And that's how he beat Bunny, when he was the underdog there as well, statistically speaking.
Yeah.
And he tried to do it against Nerchio, but Nerchio, he's teammates. He knows what Bly's like. He knows what the sort of thing Bly's going to do, and so they'll just be on top of each other.
Go back to the days of Bly when he was going 2-hatch fastest possible infestation pit.
Yep.
Not sure that's quite as viable here, but we could see some funky stuff coming out of him. Like you said, it's won him matches actually in this tournament so far. The problem is, I think Nerchio's seen most of them before.
So, Nerchio going for the early speed this time. He doesn't have a natural base as of yet, whereas Bly is still sitting there on just that one hatchery for the moment.
Yeah.
In terms of how this plays out for Nerchio, he probably will be going into some banelings off the back of this. Any second now we should see the baneling nest once he hits that 50 gas, since he is still mining and right on cue. There it is. So Nerchio just saying, hey, you want to go aggressive? I can play that game too.
Yeah, and he knows that his opponent's cross positions as well, by the way, because of the way the overlords crossed each other in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. And Nerchio probably also knows that an overlord hasn't been sent immediately cross-map too. So that means Bly doesn't know these Zerglings are incoming at the moment, plain and simple. It'll be interesting to see how many lings Nerchio gets across to the other side before Bly realizes what's going on.
Now, that baneling nest is nearing completion. Nerchio just coming up with 4 Zerglings at the moment. Does actually take 1 Ling down here. Now, that may seem insignificant, but when we're talking very small groups of units, knocking out one of those defensive Lings is going to be powerful. There's a baneling nest coming through from Bly as well, but it's a heck of a long way back. Nerchio has only shown a couple of these Lings so far, but the Overlords have seen more, so this should be a good indicator to Bly that things are going a bit AWY, and he chucks down some more Lings of his own, but banelings are now morphing.
Oh man, and he actually cancels a couple of... Wow, look at that micro on those Zerglings. I don't know if you guys saw that, but pulling back the Zerglings that were just on low health and using them to make Banes, and then cancelling some of them to attack the Lings as well.
That was a bit of a misclick there. 2 Banelings got taken out or detonated very, very early for Nerchio. Not really killing anything. And again, another one goes down. That isn't ideal, and it has bought time for Bly to grab a couple of additional Banelings.
Caster Curse, as soon as I mention how good Nerchio's micro is, 2 Banelings go off for no reason. And you're right, we've got defensive Banelings coming here for Bly as well. Can Nerchio win this game with numbers? The Banelings are still morphing in. Has to be so careful with him there. And he's inside the mineral line. There are 2 blue Banelings. Needs to be very careful. One of them going off. Will the second one get a decent number of workers? It does detonate on a lot of them, but not that many of them are killed. 4 in total so far this game. Is Bly continuously making workers off the back of this? He is. So positions effectively reversed here. Bly's currently ahead by 4 workers. The attack's not over yet, though.
No, it isn't. 2 Banelings waddling forward now. They could get a nice detonation. Nerchio playing a bit with fire there, or at least with acid. And it's going to be tough to see how this goes. Nerchio waddling in with some more Banelings. Bly just trying to scare away these speedlings for the time being. But as you said, Bly is up 19 to 15 workers. He's squeezing out a couple more drones behind this. Gotta just play it so carefully. If he overcommits to the droning to try and get more of an advantage, he risks getting overpowered and losing.
Yep, he's only got 3 lings left inside the base of Bly now. Nerchio really needs these lings to do as much damage as possible to even out the game. The Queen's actually a little bit offside, and that's actually resulting in Nerchio doing quite a lot of damage. Bly still ahead on supply, 28 to 23. He's still also ahead by 2 workers, by the way, guys. And back home, crucially, Nerchio has only just taken his natural expansion, so advantage Bly here at the 7-minute mark.
A couple of those lings are getting taken down. This is going to be very, very tough for Nerchio at this stage. He has transitioned into droning, so he's kind of accepted, right, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to just win here. But he's a long way behind economically. He doesn't, as you said, even have his natural yet. It's only just got made. He's down 18 to 23 drones. But more importantly, he's got half the number of lava production. He's got worse splitting of those drones as well. So his income is just catastrophically worse than that of Bly's. And his gas income, even more so, is just a shadow compared to what it's like for his opponent.
Yep, this is definite role reversal here, and Bly must be feeling pretty good right now. He was able to comfortably hold that off, I have to say. There was one scary moment when Nerchio got 4 to 6 lings inside the mineral line after that second attack. But good micro, 1 defensive baneling and a pair of queens basically solved that problem. So absolutely no complaints here, and Bly's just going to be focusing on maxing out his economy. That said, though, Madals, you know, it's still a pretty long rush distance. Yes, he's got a 9 worker lead. What's he going to do with it? Where is he maxing out from here?
Well, he doesn't have to rush with anything at this stage. Even going into roaches when you're ahead is a really just solid decision. Wouldn't be surprised to see that from Bly. Could also look to go for the Spire as well. But considering he's going up to 3 gases, not 4, my money's on a Roach one coming down any second, along with probably 2 Evolution Chambers. Just compounding the advantage he knows that he's got. I'm just looking at Bly's vision. He sees that the natural base is only really just finished up. He just knows so much. He knows how far ahead he is. He's just got to be careful. And actually, it's Nerchio going for the roaches.
Well, yeah, it's so Nerchio actually first with the Roach Warren here, and I agree with your assessment there. The 4th gas now getting taken for Bly, but I wonder if he just went for the Roach Warren himself and said, look, I have an economic advantage. I can afford the time to walk across the map and engage you right now because I think I can just constantly trade into a victory here. I'd be fully supportive of that decision. But Bly, it's beginning to look more and more like that's not the approach he's going to be using.
4 gases, 2 bases, says Mutalisks, but it's just a very interesting choice. Because of the position he's in, and did he get a scout on the Roach one? I think that he did there. Let's take a look. Yeah, so he knows the Roach one's coming from his opponent. He's going for the Spire. Alright, so he's hoping that he's got a gas advantage and that he spend less banelings overall, but in terms of resources lost, it's very, very similar on the gas front.
Well, it's easy to criticize the decision if they were completely neck and neck in the game, but let's not forget as well that Bly just came out ahead, frankly, at the end of that first engagement, and if he wants to go mutas, well, darn, it's his party, he can have his cake and eat it. So let's see how well he does with this. I agree that if he just went Roach v Roach, he probably should just have a nice typical advantage, but his 3rd base is coming down now, and I think Nerchio is going to have a pretty tough time holding his own 3rd when these mutas pop.
So, a little dash out now by these speedlings. Gonna be... Actually, Nerchio coming through, checks the 3rd base, realizes it's not there. Could get 3 banelings for 2. No, not going to be able to. Bit of a shame there for Nerchio. Probably going to get 1 baneling for 2, which is not ideal. Bly, though, looking to try and deny the 3rd base of his opponent, Nerchio, now. But with banelings...
Ooh, nice dodge, nice dodge. Sorry, that's all I had to say there. Nice dodge. That's it. I mean, he pulled the lings back straight away. There's literally nothing else to say. Nice dodge. Leave it there. He's got a few banelings morphing in though, and I mean, his 3rd base is looking, well, it's still only halfway done. So Nerchio, surprisingly, actually has a much faster 3rd base. But we have 7 mutas on the way now, and that's going to help a lot. So
10 mutas. They're going to be very potent. Nerchio doesn't have. Okay, he's getting sport coolers now. What did he see? He hasn't got a scout on the gas. He's just going for them. It must be the timing. He knows that they could be coming there. Anyway, we are getting a little bit of harassment now with these lings.
So smart. They're only targeting the Queen's Madals, and you know why they're only targeting the Queens, because these mutas are like, okay, now Nerchio smells a rat. He's bringing a drone down to start a spore crawl at the 3rd base. I can tell you right now that if that 3rd base gets hit, it's gone. They're like, the mutas will just take out the spore crawl of this building, and they can sit there and take it out. The question is, do they go for the 3rd, or do they go somewhere else? And here we go, dude. It's the Doctor Who roaches.
The roaches are buying a nice bit of time. Again, it's easy to make decisions on what you go for if you've got full map vision of both players and know what's coming, but these Mutalisks are just being irritating. Bear in mind as well, behind this, Bly, he's going for the Roach Warren. So he is looking to transition out, just getting a couple of roaches, perhaps trying to force a large response out of Nerchio. Knowing he's picked up a lot of roaches, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage, and gaining that map control could be big. But in comes Bly now towards the third of Nerchio. He goes for the Spore Crawler. That is such a smart move. He gets transfused though. So Nerchio playing solid keeps that alive, and that is integral to him being able to defend that third from these Mutalisks.
Yep, he needs to constantly attack the third now. He needs to find a way to use these mutas to his advantage, because Nerchio, he's caught up. He's at 53 workers to 54 right now. Bly does not want this game to go back to parity. He needs actually to take out this hatchery. He needs to do it soon.
Hatch getting chipped away at. There's the 3 queens. The second Spore coming down as well. With the Lings there as well, this third hatch is going to be running into some difficulties. The Roach is trying to take it down, but boom! It falls, and that was a beautiful pick-off by Bly. Denying the third base massively hinders the economy of Nerchio, who was already down a little all game in terms of his economic standpoint. And now Bly's setting a base up.
Bly needed to do that. Let's be honest. He really did need to do that.
Jorasar, ventral sacs is being researched.
What? Well, you know, we did say funky stuff at the end of the day, and he needs to not be engaging Spore Crawlers right now. So, Madals, this is why it was so important for Bly to take that out. Nerchio's defense, as soon as he knew the mutas were coming, it was actually really good. He had Spore Crawlers out by his ramp, not even in his mineral line. He was saying, you have mutas, that's your advantage right now, and you're not getting in here anywhere. If Bly hadn't taken that third base out, well, guess what? Nerchio would have brought the game level. That's basically what would have happened here. So he's constantly trying to be as annoying as possible, but the placement of the Spore Crawlers for Nerchio is just really good right now. And wow.
Oh, the infestation pit. I don't think he's going to be able to save it. Queens are trying to come on over. It's going to be close. Depends how much Bly wants to commit. No, Bly doesn't want to risk losing those Mutalisks. Instead, keeps moving about. May come back later. And this basically means the Queens have to sit up here and wait. If they move away from that infestation pit, it's dead.
But at the same time, though, the muta numbers are dwindling. Bly is transitioning into roaches of his own right now. And +2 missile attacks is already halfway done for Nerchio, and he's got more roaches out on the field. So this roach v roach fight that might be incoming, Bly needs all the mutas he can get, because just on ground units alone, he actually can't win this fight at the moment.
Yeah, that's not his aim, though. He's got ventral sacs. He's also got numerized carapace coming through. Bly can win, actually, on the ground. He's got 34 roaches to 22.
Can he? Oh, sorry, I was counting the ones in production. My bad.
Yep.
Yeah, so, ooh, and losing another muta there. He does need to be a little careful with the queens out here for Nerchio as well. His defender's advantage is larger than it looks like on the surface. He's got so many Spore Crawlers and so many queens out the front here that the additional mutas that Bly have would have a minimal impact on the fight as it stands if he engaged right there.
So looking to...
Where's the fourth? I mean, he could just be taking a fourth behind this as well.
He could be, he doesn't need to. He's just going to try and take out this third again. And look at the roach numbers, 42 to 33. But there's 2 infestors. Where are they? The fungal growths could be massive.
They're on the ramp. They're still coming down. They're about 10 seconds away from being useful in this fight. Here they go. They're underneath the overlords now. Bly hasn't seen them yet. There's the first fungal. What was that? Oh, managing to pick off about 4 of the mutas, but the second one was actually much better here. And look at this. Nerchio beating Bly back on the ground. Exactly what we were talking about. Those Spore Crawlers and Queens were great against the Mutalist. There are only 4 or 5 of them left. And Bly, for the first time in a long time, guys, he's now behind on supply.
But he's going for a double drop into the natural base. Sending those overlords in. Need to be careful. The Spore Crawler kills off one of those overlords. So 3 roaches never made it out. Not going to really likely get much damage. All the roaches getting pulled back. Should get a couple of drones at best. A push coming from the side. But I want to go over that big fight by the third, because there was a couple of things that on paper meant that it looked like Bly should win easily, but he didn't. Firstly, he had 8 roaches in overlords on the other side of the map. So that already started to level things out. Next, his attack arc was not great. Nerchio had such a better concave. Half of the roaches for Bly weren't even engaging.
And the rest of the mutas, by the way, all save 1, have just been taken out on the left-hand side, and that last one's going to get taken out as well. So all the mutas that were in Nerchio's base are also gone. But, yeah, and to continue your point as well, Madals, 2-0 roaches versus 0-0 roaches, and the 2-0 side had a couple of fungal growths to hand as well. Nerchio had all the ingredients he needed to win that underdog fight.
This is a problem for Bly now.
Nerchio's ahead. Nerchio is just ahead now, I think. Yep. He's got... I mean... The +2 upgrade has just started for Bly. Guess what? Nerchio's about to finish +1 Carapace as well. The Hydralisks are on the way for Nerchio. This Roach Hydra army that's about to steamroll down the front door of Bly is going to be very, very difficult for him to stop with less upgraded Roaches. Nerchio's 2 upgrades ahead with Hydras. This is tough.
The trouble is, Bly should have won that fight. And I think Bly assumed that he would just have overwhelming numbers. But due to the A roaches being out of position to go for the drop and just getting caught in such a nice concave from Nerchio, he took the worst possible engagement that I think he could have done there. And with that, he threw his lead.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and disagree with you there, Madals, to an extent. I'm actually going to say that even with those 8 roaches, it wouldn't have been the worst possible engagement, but it would still have gone to an engagement where Nerchio would have won. I just don't think Bly could have engaged there at all as soon as he saw the upgrades, and the fact that the spores and queens meant that his mutas couldn't actually make a decent contribution.
He didn't need the mutalisk, though, because he had more roaches. In numbers, it was just the positioning that he fought. He fought in this tiny little gap between the wall and the third hatchery, which meant that Nerchio had a massive concave, whereas a good group of Bly's roaches weren't even fighting. Sure, there was the +2 upgrade, and the fungal growth. The fungal growth was actually was very, very important.
Yeah, I feel like that coupled with the resupply of Nerchio meant that even if Bly traded evenly, the reinforcements would have won the fight.
Yeah, I don't think
it's unclear. But right now, though, I mean, it's basically resulted in a situation where all the cards now they feel like Nerchio's just holding all of them, and Bly's going for an attack. But if this attack fails, it's not a case of falling back and resetting. It's a case of...
Oh no, Bly's going to get intercepted with these roaches. This is a huge problem for him.
Fungal? Okay, there's no fungal. If there was a fungal there, that would have
been
huge.
Was up on the high ground. It caught quite a few of these roaches. It's not the end of the world, but look at the army supply. 134 to 94.
Well, Bly's taking a hidden 4th base over to the bottom left because I think that's a sign that he knows he needs to do something like that to win at this point.
In comes Nerchio now, pushing forward. He's maxed out. He's up by about 40 supply at the moment. 30 of that is in with this army. He's got Roach Hydra 2-1 up against 2-0. The Spine Crawlers are melting. There's a couple of Infestors on both sides, but that first fungal from Bly didn't hit the money that well. The second one better. So many spines here, but it's just not doing enough. This third hatchery... Yep, this third hatch is dead.
Well, he's buying time because he wants to go full Wings of Liberty here, guys. We've got Infestor Broodlord coming out from Bly. No, that was not...
Oh, Jorasal, there's a counterattack coming into the third base of Nerchio. We'll pick that off as well. So, theoretically... Oh, no, because there's the 4th base for Nerchio. Never mind. Nerchio's done enough.
We've got... I know this isn't a Roro game, guys. This isn't still Wings of Liberty. We've got Infestor Broodlord from Bly. It's actually happened. He's 40 supply down from Nerchio at the moment. Both sides have lost their third bases, and Bly saying, well, you know what? I think it's time to just go ham and hope that these Broodlords will be able to take it. And if these Broodlords make it across the map and pick off the 4th or 3rd base again from Nerchio here, this could be...
He only needs to pick off the... If he picks off the 4th, with the hidden base supply he's got a good economy there. This is really similar to the game, or not really similar, but the end scenario is similar to Snoot versus Scala, where Scala went for this Broodlord Infestor strategy, and it's just so difficult to combat. Of course, with the Broodlords now being frenzied, they can't be abducted by Vipers, which was one of the primary ways you try and deal with this. Nerchio's got the Spire finishing, though, so he will get out a lot of Corruptors, and that's one thing that is lacking from Bly's army. He doesn't have much support for these Broodlords if Corruptors were to come out onto the field.
900 gas now going straight into Corruptors. They are, though, they're about 30 in-game seconds from completion. And look at this 4th base. It's also getting gooped up, so it can't produce any more larvae. This is going down faster than a sack of potatoes here. And Bly, he's making some more inroads, but look at those supplies. It's 127 to 198. Bly's holding a really nice ace in the form of these Broodlords right now. But if they don't win him the game, he's going to go down hard.
Well, the Corruptors are coming out. That's the trouble. Nerchio's on 9 Corruptors. Bly's just got 3 out, needs a couple more. The Corruptors will make the difference. Basically, whoever gets air superiority wins this game.
Yeah.
If the Broodlords die for Bly, that is a big, big loss to him. Nerchio has been able to re-establish his 3rd, getting a 4th, but of course, Bly has got this hidden base to the lower left. Nerchio, though, doesn't want to wait, moving across the map.
Oh, and while he's moving across the map, he's almost overtaking the Broodlord. There has to be careful. An initial volley there of Broodlings, and we can see he's actually just waiting for those Infestors to come in. Excellent fungal growth coming out from Bly to start this engagement off, but Nerchio smells blood. Fantastic fungals in return, and Nerchio, he's got a great concave. All he needs to do is trade evenly at this point, and he wins, but thanks to that concave, he's actually just going to smash through. The Broodlords were a fantastic move from Bly, but it's not going to be enough. GG, well played, and Nerchio takes it 2-0.